Welcome to my shop. Today I'm planning on upgrading my Harbor Freight dust collector that I basically disassembled, mounted on the wall. As you can see, I have a couple of 30-gallon steel drums as separators that go into it. Maybe do a video on how I did that later. I really just want to get the bag off the unit and put on this Donaldson cartridge filter. You've seen several of the videos, I'm sure, out there where there's multiple different versions you can get your hands on. This is just another one. It's really meant to be on a semi, and I'm going to hook it up to a couple links about issues I ran into, because it's not going to be a clean fit, but we're going to make it work because I saved over $100. So we'll pick up on the next section. So here is that Donaldson filter I was telling you about. I bought it on Amazon. Looks pretty hefty. As you can see, it should be a nice fit, nice replacement up there. But again, it's meant to be on a semi, not meant to be on what we're about to use it for. So break in here in a little bit and show you the next step. I'm going to give you a quick look. Obviously we have a hole in the top. I'm probably just going to put some silver tape on the inside so the pressure from the air holds that. And then of course on the bottom side, you can tell on shipping here, they kind of meshed my filter, but what we're doing is not going to matter. Here is the inside, normal configuration, nice rubber seal, and we'll see how well it actually fits. It goes on the framing. Okay, so I found some pieces here. I did tape up the hole I told you about. Obviously that was for the bolt that would go through on the semi. On the inside, of course, I just taped it. Air is going to follow to the path of least resistance, so it doesn't really matter that it's there in a precise spot or not. I found this piece of, or I have this piece of OSB laying around that I'm going to use as the base, and now I need to cut it to place. I took a piece of scrap wood and my pencil, tracked all the way around it down here, so that way I could get my line lined up the way I wanted to get my curves. I'm now going to take it over to the bandsaw, cut it out, do my inside, and then start mounting. I plan on screwing this to the actual air filter, and then after it's taken care of, I'll put a slight bead of silicone around the edge of the dust collector underneath this lip. That way this is screwed together here, and the rubber gasket will make that seal, and then the silicone will then hold it to up there, and I'll simply put a couple screws on the side, and I'll show you that one that far too. Oh yeah, workbench made out of 2 skids. Works out pretty good. I've done it in the past. Here's another one with some basic friction slide drawers. If you haven't done something like this before, even the framing, as you can tell, is made out of pallets. Comes in very handy. Kind of a rough saw and get you through what you need to do before you have the time to make your other drawers that are much nicer. Next step coming up. So this is my Raycon bandsaw. I like this little adjustable light that I got. I found it at Menards. It really helps light up the workspace, so you can kind of move that way around when you need to. And I'm just going to start cutting her up right now, and I don't have good free hands, so I can't really record and do this. So I'll just show you that it's done. All right. Okay, so I'm done with the bandsaw. I'm over here making sure it fits and gets around there. Obviously I got just a little bit of play in it, and that's okay, because again, I'm going to hit it with silicone on the side, and then kind of put a set screw in here to hold it, and a screw over here to hold it. That way when this board here is screwed to the bottom, you'll actually have, everything is held together. So I need to cut my center out here so we have the opening that we needed. If I didn't say that already, this is 18 3/4 across, and the bottom hole that was underneath here, that particular opening is only 9 inches on the inside. Of course, we only have 5 inches here on the pipe that's coming in, so even cutting this out at 12 inches to match our diameter on the cartridge filter that I picked up, again, the one that was supposed to be on the semi, we only have a 9-inch opening, but it's a 12-inch opening, so we actually have a bigger opening on the filter than we even do have on this particular unit in which to put it in. So all in all, looking good. Alright, so I need to cut this hole out in the center, so I need to make myself a round hole, but I do not have a jig to do yet. So I've already found the center of this board, so it's listed. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here at about the 1 inch mark, and I'm going to drill a hole here that I can then set a screw dead center. And then I'm simply going to go through and make a pencil mark every 1/2 inch, drill a little hole until I get out to probably 7 or 8 inches, which is going to be 6 or 7 for us because the 1 inch mark is where we're going to start at. And then I'm going to just trim it off there. So basically I can make anywhere from a 2 inch all the way up to a 12 inch hole, because obviously you're going to half the distance, right? So 6 from here and 6 to there is going to be 12 across. At any rate, I'm going to pencil it up, take a video real quick, and then drill a couple holes, take a video, and then draw my circle. Thanks. Okay, so I have it marked up, got out the rulers and stuff, and obviously this is not going to be for anything precision, as you could probably guess. This is going to be more for a rough draft, rough in, which is exactly what we're doing. So if you need something a little more precise, a little more precision, this is probably not the jig you want to make. But basically all I'm going to be doing is on the placement hole for my pivot, I need to have a bit that's big enough to allow that to go through. I will not cinch it down, I'm just going to make it big enough so this actually works, so it spins like an arm on a clock, right? And then I'm simply going to go through and put a little hole on each one of these marks that I want, and I really want 6. And I'm going to make it basically big enough for this pencil to fit through. So I can just stick it in and then rotate through and just spin my piece around and make a pencil mark. So if you're using a pin or something else, the size that you're using obviously is going to dictate the size of the hole. And the larger it is, the more room for error that you could be at 4 7/8 or 5 1/8 based on how much wiggle and wobble there is in this, right? Again, this is not for precision. This is just for a rough cut. So I can get this board cut up so I can get my air cartridge taken care of. All right, I'll give it a cut and give you another show here in just a minute. Okay, for this here, I just went with the screw. Obviously, I don't have to go very far. You see the pencils coming through, making a nice entry point. Again, I placed it at the 6 mark. I'm actually going to pilot my hole over here on this piece because that bit that happens to be on my board will fight going in. So to make it so it doesn't fight so much, it's just far easier to do a simple starter. Get that baby set on there, and then we can drill it down and then do a whirligig here in a second. Get that baby snapped on. Just enough to show the line as I go around. And since I'm a one-man show here, look at that, broke the pencil. But I think I got a good enough line as I go around already that I don't have to go and worry about putting that back in. So there it is, homemade jig to make my circle, so I can actually cut this baby out. Should be at 12 inches as I go across, starting there, over here 12, not too bad. Again, all we're looking at is rough in here, so I have plenty of play on this guy. So there we go, I'll cut it out and start the video on the next one around. So I went ahead and actually used a Sharpie to make it a little easier to see since the lighting is off here from me, and I've been finishing up, got a little bit more to cut, and I'll have this center one cut out. Alright, so that has been cut out now. So I'm ready to go see how well this fits on there. And then of course how she fits over there on the dust collector. We'll start putting pieces together here and see how we finish this up. Dry fit time. Here it is back on the inside. As I told you, the center is 9, right? So I made my hole 12, which matches the inside of the Donaldson air filter, because I don't really want to have any restriction on this side here. I want to be able to get up into the filter, and then if it loses any air pressure, as it winds down, it'll fall freely back through here and not get caught on the lip, is the ultimate goal here. So it's looking good. I think all I need to do now is screw that to the actual unit and put it back in place and go to the next step. Let's grab the filter here. Hang on. So here's the filter going on. Kind of what it will look like. Give me spacing. I'll put little markers on it so I kind of have it centered. That way as I go around from my section, I can see that it's centered. And that should look nice. Again, drilling holes from the bottom of the OSB into it to make a seal, and then put a silicone bead all the way around, seating this into it, and then screws to hold it after that. We should be doing really well. Next step coming up. So here it is going the other direction to look straight down on it. Alright, I just want to make it so, you know, the ring that I have is resting on the foam right on the inside, and as I apply pressure with the screws, it's going to make a nice seal. I'm going to put 4 in a minute, and then again we'll flip her upside down, put it back on the ring over there with the silicone, and then basically same what you do. So I'm choosing to use these GRK screws. They work really well. Have a nice lip over here that'll catch the wood, self-piercing, so all I did was pilot the OSB just because I don't like it bouncing so much. It will go through it just fine. I just don't like all the tear. It's just easier to pilot it, but I did not pilot through the metal. And it actually just bites right in and latches right through. Obviously you get little pops a couple times as it starts to go through the sheet metal, but then as you can see, clamps right down, draws in nicely. So this is going to work out well. So to help ensure that I had a good grip all the way across and I wasn't just over tightening, I used my same board and just flipped it upside down, used as a spacing guide, making sure that each one of my guys, as I tightened them down, were, you know, still allow me to get in there a little bit snug. You know, let it screw down onto it till it got a bite, and then I just slip this back out. So now that they're spaced evenly, I should have good compression and good seal. And again, moving on to the unit with this piece so far. Okay, so I changed my mind and did not want to do the sealing of it with silicone adhesive, and I went out and purchased this Auto Marine rubber weather sealant. Don't get the foam stuff that actually will collapse and break down. This is a very pliable rubber seal with the grooves in it, and the point being, obviously, as we set the air filter there on top, it will actually rest on a nice, good, flexible seal and then stop the air. I went ahead and applied it to the edge up here, right, and then got really tight on the seal here between these two, so as it compresses, we should be good. And then I'm going to go ahead and at this point put a screw instead of through the side, through the top into the metal, just enough to hold it so it makes a compression like it did on the other side, and get it put together. That way it's going to be easy to disassemble if I want to clean it. Alright, so there it is. It's been screwed down, has a single screw over here, and I have another single screw that's pointing there. I'm going to have one over here on this side. I don't even think those are necessary because this filter weighs 50 pounds. So if you choose this option, you can see I have mine already supported by a bracket on the back side, and it has screws mounting it, and it's just counter tied together with the back unit. So I'm pretty good on this configuration. It's now setting tight and sealed, doesn't go anywhere. The whole system moves as a unit instead of just the air filter. So I'll post an update later, kind of letting you know what I think my results are. What you're supposed to get is obviously more airflow, because now you have the pleats to go through instead of the bag. You get the advantage of being able to go down to 0.5 micron instead of 2 micron. It depends on which filter bag you have in your unit, and I'm really looking for the CFM gain, as well as, you know, having less particles laying around from the filter bag as we're working. So we'll see how that goes in the future. Hope you enjoyed it. Post more in the future. That's all for now.